Can you do the countdown? Hey guys, so welcome to Hot Takes Hot Planet. I am your host Gabriel, and today's podcast and the rest of the episodes will be focusing about the effects of carbon emissions on climate change. Now, before we get started, a little introduction about myself. So, I'm 15 years old. I go to GEMS Winchester, and I study global perspectives. And this is our team. We have Joseph, Siler, Aeryl, who will be joining us here today, and we have Gian. You'll be seeing Joseph, Siler, and Gian later in episode 2 of the podcast. But for now, we'll be focusing on the causes of carbon emissions. So, Aeryl, give me a quick 10-second introduction about yourself. Go.
Okay, my name is Aeryl Maristella. I'm 15 years old, and I study in GEMS Literature School, Dubai. And although I'm a bit shy, I hope that this podcast will bring you guys some information about the causes of the effects of carbon emissions on climate change.
Thank you, Earl. So, I think one question that we might all be wondering is what exactly is carbon emissions?
That's a good question, Gabriel. So from the name itself, it's kind of self-explanatory. But carbon emissions is basically the release of CO2 into the atmosphere, and due to this amount of release, it causes a lot of pollution, and it causes very very severe consequences, which we will like talk more in depth about in the next episode. Yeah.
Thank you, Errol. Now, second question is going to be what exactly is the root cause of carbon emissions? Like, where does it stem from?
Okay, so carbon emissions. So the main cause of carbon emissions is basically from human activities. Yeah. So basically, since all of us like use cars, and there's a lot of like industries in the world, like especially in China and like in US, and we travel like a lot every year, right? I'm pretty sure like in planes and like cars again, as I said. These like the release of carbon from these like vehicles, especially in these industries, cause carbon emissions. Like I said, like they release a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere, and like I said earlier, they cause a lot of severe consequences, and these consequences like lead to a lot of like health problems, and it also affects the environment, which is really bad for the people and the earth altogether. Yeah.
Thank you, Errol. Now, Errol, can you tell me a little bit about your personal life? What is your experience with carbon emissions?
Ooh, right, that one. That reminds me of like when I used to study in the Philippines. So I used to study there for about like 4 to 5 years, yeah. And in my area, in my province, whenever I go to the city, so I live in the like very far from the city, and in that area, there's there's not a lot of carbon emissions. So you don't really see like black clouds or anything. But when you go to the city, I just like remember seeing so many like black clouds, and then like you can hardly breathe because like there's so much smoke around, and especially like if you know about jeepneys, right? If you experience those, if you've like ever ridden one, there's a lot of like smoke coming out from the exhaust, and due to that, it's very difficult to breathe and stuff. So that I think that kind of cost me. I think it might have caused my pneumonia, and due to that, I was like in the hospital for over a month. But
Wow,
hopefully,
that's crazy.
I mean, thankfully it was gone. Yeah, that's it.
That's actually a crazy story, man. Like, as a Filipino myself as well, like I could really like completely relate with that because I come from the province as well, and like in the province, there's not much carbon emission problems. You don't really see those black clouds like you say. Like I would say the only problem is sewage, but it mainly doesn't really imply that the oh, that's a really good response, Errol, and like I could totally relate to that because as I come from Philippines as well, I'm pretty sure we both come from like different areas though, because Philippines is a really big country with a lot of islands. Yeah, like, but I could really agree because like there in the city, like there's a lot of issues, especially in Manila, like from my experience whenever I like go to other parts of the Philippines like Pampanga or Baguio, we always pass by Manila, and like I always remember this one specific bridge or road. I'm not really familiar with like the layout of the structure and like the streets of the Philippines, yeah. But like it always smells really really bad if you open the windows. Like my parents, they studied there in Manila for university, and like they say that the smell of this like carbon emissions, it smells really horrible, and I'm pretty sure you can agree with me. Yeah, but excuse me. But like they say it's a nostalgic feeling. So since you said you were in Philippines like for 4 to 5 years and you joined Gems Winchester in year 4, would you say that carbon emissions, that smell, the really horrible smell, do you think that's nostalgic for you?
I mean, to be honest, yeah. Although it's like of course really bad for your health. Like for example, I said that I got pneumonia from it. It's still really nostalgic. Like it reminds me of Philippines, and man, it's just like now it's just like thinking about it. I can just like imagine like me in like in the middle of the city, and I can just imagine the smell, and I can just like hear all the like bustling, all the honks of the cars around, and the the tambucho, the exhaust, yeah, yeah, and yeah, man, I guess it is pretty nostalgic, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So now let's focus, instead of Philippines, let's have another country, like you could say a local perspective. Do you know any other places anywhere in the world, any localities that may have some carbon emission problems?
So I've actually researched this one local perspective, and it's in South Africa. It's of the city of Johannesburg, and Johannesburg is like a really advanced city. I think that you guys may think that Africa is like not really advanced, but there are cities in Africa that are really advanced, and Johannesburg is one of them. Yeah, and Johannesburg, most of their they face a lot of carbon emission problems, mainly because they're like really urbanized now, and due to that, they've like became more modern, and they have more like factories, and they have more industries, and their agriculture is like improving like year by year. Okay, and their carbon emissions is like mostly just caused by like industries, like I said, and it's because Johannesburg is probably like the biggest city in South Africa, and due to that, they need a lot of industries to power their electricities, and yeah, that's it.
I also agree with you on that. Like, I feel like as society, like, as we become, give me a moment to think about the word. As we progress into society, as we progress into, a good future, like, maybe like, you could say in like 100 years, we'll be like focused like completely on machinery, and like we could say like I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be a lot of factories, but like instead of human workers, it's gonna be like AI machinery. Yeah,
Robots, yeah.
I feel like I feel like machinery is like one root cause of carbon emissions, because like the more that society advances and like becomes more modern, you could say, like the give me a moment. I actually didn't really know about Johannesburg. I thought, because like you could say like a common misconception is that South Africa, or like the countries in Africa in general, is like it's still developing. It's still a developing country, because I really didn't like know that Johannesburg. Yeah, I really didn't know that Johannesburg was actually a very advanced country. So yeah, thank you for the information. But like, don't you think that as society advances, as we become more modern, I feel like the the process of becoming more reliant on machinery, more reliant on factories, like that, that one period back in like around the 1900s, when, like, for example, in the UK, the British started, like, they found out how to use factories, how to use machinery and all that to like manufacture their products. Yeah, I feel like that's what like Johannesburg is obviously doing to advance. Don't you feel like that is basically the a cause of carbon emissions, which is society advancing? So as society advances, don't you think that's just gonna cause carbon emissions?
Yeah, definitely. Because like before, obviously, like before the industrial like period, the carbon emissions like around the world, it was very low. It was very low. Yeah, but since society has advanced, they built factories to build cars, to make clothes and all of that stuff. Definitely, they've burned a lot of fossil fuels and non-renewable energy, and because of that, well, there's more carbon emissions. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you for that. Oh, good. So, Errol, going back to Johannesburg, you told me that you've done good research on the country, and like I am really impressed by that, really. So, I'm just wondering, do you have any like statistics to tell me and to show evidence on like how the carbon emissions has risen in Johannesburg?
Yeah, okay. I actually forgot about that. But like Johannesburg is about like 70% like reliant on on wait, sorry, I forgot about this one. Sorry. Yeah, definitely I have. So as I said before, Johannesburg is very reliant and very dependent on their like production of electricity using industries, and their total greenhouse gases is most. What happened? Yeah, and because and uh about the about 70% of their total greenhouse gases actually come from it, and because of this, um, a case study that I found states that about 2.3 Celsius of temperature increase is to be expected around the year 2050 to 2060, which is definitely a lot.
That is
Like,
a lot, yeah.
yeah, since that's like about 25 years from now, and since since that's not like a really that's an abnormal like rate of temperature increase, definitely. And yeah, that's my statistics.
Yeah, thank you, Errol. So I'm pretty sure we have covered now all the causes, most of the causes of carbon emissions, especially from Philippines, and but you have done amazing research on Johannesburg. So before we end this episode, stay tuned for episode 2, where we'll be featuring, like I said earlier, Joseph Seiler and Gian. My fault. Yeah, and in episode 2, we'll be focusing on the consequences and solutions of carbon emissions on climate change. Thank you all for today, and have a happy new year.